Good morning. It is 6:43 a.m. on Wednesday, November 14th, 2018. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Although I have a bit of a headache, today is not as much of a day where I woke up to bittersweet news or bittersweet memories, I guess. The news was not sweet. But anyway, I do want to thank the people who reached out with, just hugs and goodwill and so on yesterday. I appreciate it. Everyone, you have down days, and you move on too. So yesterday, I consumed a couple of surprising pieces of media, and one that wasn't so much surprising, but I'll talk about it anyway. First is that I was kind of in the mood for a movie after work yesterday, and so I was browsing Netflix and found Hardcore Henry, which is a movie I had heard about and had a lot of interest in when it was in the theater, but never made it out to see because it didn't last in the theater very long. But I was always curious about it. If you are not familiar, this is an action movie with Charlton Copley in it, and its gimmick is that it is shot entirely in first-person POV, like a video game. And it's an action movie entirely from the POV of the title character. And that's ridiculous. But I was curious, and I watched it last night, and my God, that movie is amazing. If you have been sleeping on that movie, you should watch it. I will add a caveat that it has a few jokes that I feel like I wish weren't there. And it's mild stuff as these things go, but it's just like using pussy as an insult and that sort of thing. So there's a few bits like that where I just feel like I wish the movie had just not done that, but it's mild as these things go, and the rest of the movie is so amazing that I still definitely recommend it. And it's just continues to the very first thing that happens is the screen is divided into half, showing two different things, because the main character, who is a cyborg, their eyeballs are being installed one at a time. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm on board. And the movie just continuously managed to find new ways to surprise me throughout. I will say it's a little bit exhausting to watch compared to a normal movie because it's, first of all, it's just breakneck pace. But also, it's just, there's much more of a sense of feeling like you can't look away even for a second, partly due to the first-person POV quality to it. But I was thoroughly pleased with that movie, and I recommend it. 2 thumbs up, with the minor caveat that they could have improved their language a little bit. There's it's some very bare bones, 1990s video game era humor in it. I guess more like early 2000s, I suppose. Now that said, I mean, like, it's very much evoking a lot of those types of games anyway, so But the other piece of media that I mentioned that was surprising was I watched the trailer for Detective Pikachu. And here's the thing. Before watching it, or rather, before hearing other people talk about it, I would have told you that I had zero interest in such a thing. I have played 1.5 Pokemon games, and I think they're fine. And I had always thought that the property was certainly a fine thing for kids, and I know lots of other people liked it too, and that's great, but it wasn't for me, and I just don't have any particular affection for the source material, much less the spin-offs of Detective Pikachu or any of that. And so I'm like, they're making a movie of it? That's weird. But then I watched the trailer and I'm going like, whoa, that's weird. But like in a way that makes me want to go see it. And so the idea of a well-produced live-action movie depicting Pokemon World and adding a detective story onto it is just like, I watch it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to see that. So anyway, that's on the internet if you want to go find it if you haven't seen it yet. And last but not least, I watched the first episode of the new She-Ra cartoon on Netflix, which I had actually forgotten was out already. And but in any event, I watched the first episode. And the first, as with many Netflix streaming cartoons, the pace of the show does not rocket along. It really takes its time to kind of establish the characters. And I will say it's a little bit disjointed because at least at first, when we're cutting between some of the different characters, it feels a little bit like one seems like the obvious main story, and then we briefly cut away to this other character, and it's just, there's not much of a flow to that. But beyond that, I like it a lot, and I didn't really ever, like, I remember approximately zero about the original cartoon, so I'm not going to make any comparisons there. But I like a lot the concept of having the main character realize she's been part of the bad guys. I think that is a really cool premise to start with. And I like a lot about the show. I like having, bad guy characters that are shown to be, interesting and sympathetic in some ways, while still displaying the characteristics that might make them villains. And likewise flawed heroes and so on, and it's all in a very sort of kid-friendly vibe, and it's colorful and the animation's good, and I like it. I'm going to definitely watch more. So, but in the meantime, I'll leave it there, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.